How are you going there, Elchin?
How you going?
Oh, we can't complain. The weather's beautiful and you sound like you're in top spirit at the moment.
Definitely. As I say, I'm always ducking and weaving and just staying on my feet.
Yeah, now, we've played a couple of songs already this afternoon, and I know that there's a bit of a difference from some of the covers you used to do in the past. They've got some pretty great lyrics with them and very, I guess, a bit intricate, but also different phases, progressions of the music. We played Headlines first up, and that was an award-winning song, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it's it had to make a statement, I guess, to whoever was listening that I'm not who they say I am, and there's publications that just feel compelled to repeatedly put me down. So I guess I don't know. It kind of felt like in the choruses that I needed to send a little message to whoever was willing to listen. But the verses were obviously for everyone, about our own personal dreams and just chasing them no matter what it takes.
Yeah, I've got to say, I've heard the standard rock version, and I must say it's a good dance number as well. It gets you going, doesn't it? And driving, it makes you want to do things, achieve things. It's pretty.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. My rock days with my previous band, way before the reality show, I did the rounds for 20 odd years. So live music was something that it was the first thing that I ever experienced. I didn't start a band with a synthesizer, but now I find myself creating an album that I really want to reflect on all my favorite musical styles, and it ranges from R&B groups like Jodeci to Huey Lewis and the News, all the way up to Prince and of course the great late Michael Jackson. So I'm letting my heart take the lead, and I'm not questioning it, and the music's coming out extraordinarily well, and it's exceeded all my expectations.
Yeah, and as a live performer also, you've got a fair bit more there than I think a lot of people would understand. You did that Headlines live and unplugged at the Indie Music Video Awards, and that really quite amazing, I must say. But also, I've seen you at other clubs in Canberra and Sydney and that, and live, you're quite a performer.
Kevin, I really appreciate that. I need to remain organic, and keep things as real as possible in a sometimes plastic world. And when I get on stage, there's no song that you'll hear on my album that you can't hear me play acoustically. And I think that's pretty important. It's the way it used to be. I think when you look back, the people that's singing the songs, they can actually perform it right there and then with an instrument. Today, things are changing. People want to be celebrities. People want to be famous, as opposed to the pure aspect of why you want to sing a song. So there's a lot of artists, so-called artists that just don't really do much except for sing, and that's great. I mean, some of my favorite songs are probably from strictly singers, non-songwriters. Like Celine Dion has a couple of songs that she write I love, so each their own. But for me, I'm pretty old school, and the album is definitely in touch with the old school realm,
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about the recording process. This album's been a fair while coming, hasn't it, Elchin? When did you first start working on it?
That would have been probably late 2011, I think. Yeah, mid to late 2011 I started recording this album. And look, it's taken this long because obviously the hurdles have been extraordinary, unimaginable really. I never foresaw the hurdles coming. Massive mountains to climb, but what kept me going is the sound of the album. Every month I'd have a new song in the bag, and the process was relatively effortless once I'm in the studio. But at the same time, I had a massive range of songs to choose from, because this is an album that I've been waiting to record for 20 years, and finally I'm on the verge of releasing it, and I found myself with like over 400 songs. And so, I really wanted to take my time with it, and I knew there was no rush because, some reports even said I'd quit music. So there was not much pressure on me in that way. Yet the whole time, I was a full-time musician, playing a few gigs here and there, releasing a couple of a couple of tracks just to keep the fans knowing that, hey, listen, something big is coming. And Born Before the Sun is, it's let expectations be high. It's an exceptional album.
Yeah. And look, are all the tracks your own on the album?
Yes, they are. I mean, I was very open to really anyone's music, anyone's ideas, interpretations, everything. I just, I love it. It's all about mixing it up and letting the ego go and letting the soul take over. And the soul, as most people know, even through just philosophy, the soul is something that is connected to the next person. It's not really about your own brain, your own mind, your own status, your own anything. But I found myself, to be honest, just not being taken by many of the tracks that were thrown my way. And in the end, I just, I'd have a producer with me and a couple of people on my team that I'd look toward and I'd say, look, is it just me, or is this song that I wrote kind of better suited for the album and a better song? And every time it would come back as a yes. So as open as I was, I eventually found myself writing the whole album, which doesn't bother me at all. Either which way, I'd write a song from a Ukrainian kid who comes up with a good melody and a lyric. I'd record it if I loved it. But at the end of the day, it's 14 of my own songs gathered from 24 years of songwriting.
Wow. And look, you recorded in Sydney, that's right?
I recorded the song in Sydney. I kind of drifted from studio to studio for a little while there. I had a personal setup for a while just to get some basic ideas down and things like that. But it's definitely been one of those albums that travelled with me. The recording process travelled with me. And I wrote some songs, on the back of the tour bus, wrote some songs here and there, and polished a couple of tracks, in most unexpected places. But mainly Sydney.
Yeah, right. And look, some of the people you played with, like DJ Moto, are they involved in this one?
Yeah, DJ Moto is an integral part of my life now, my team. He's pretty much taken over management duties, and but I mean, he's just like an old friend from school that just really wants to help, and he's achieved a fair bit in his life, and 20 years I haven't seen him, and we met accidentally at the Crossroads a couple of years or about a year after the reality show, and we just picked up where we left off, and he's got an incredible ear. He's a very, very experienced DJ, and he's got his finger on the pulse, and he knows exactly the feel, what's to come, and what has been, and what's cool, what's not. So he's been like an A&R guy, manager, and he also DJs for me on the road, and so it's a pretty solid team, me and him.
It sounds great. He's really tight with his beats and his rhythm, of course, doing what he does. But put you guys together, it's another level. That's great.
Thanks, man. He really is tight. He's I didn't know much about DJing, to be honest, but once I started to really get into the DJing world, I realized how much of a kind of talent that takes to pull it off properly.
Yeah, it is a bit different, that's for sure, and it's evolving all the time. But then again, I guess all the different subgenres of music are all sort of melding into each other these days, and you've just got to go with the flow.
Yeah, it's the genres. It's hard to actually pick a genre now. My new single "Girl" was classed as an urban R&B genre, but some authoritative figures have declined the idea that it's an urban R&B track. So I just don't know anymore. I just play music, and I hear a bit of the rock coming through my album. I hear a bit of R&B. I hear a little bit of the Eastern European melodies which I grew up in, but at the end of the day, I'd probably class this album as a alternative R&B / urban. Sounds
about fair. And I've got to say that all the singles you've had have been very radio friendly. I don't know if that's something that's obviously you focus on, but it certainly just seems to come out that way. That they're great songs. They stand alone by themselves.
Look, I mean, I guess that's a compliment. I mean, there's a lot of generated, manufactured music on mainstream radio, and I, you can't deny that's just gone through a process that the singer or the producer, the singer or the songwriter had barely anything to do with. It goes through a machine, pops out the other end, and it kind of sounds like everything else with a slightly different melody, slightly different lyrics. But with me, of course, as a kid, I've always kind of listened to the radio, and being a songwriter, I was like, yeah, my songs can be on the radio one day. But I never, even with my previous band of 20 years, I never let that dictate. It's always been my heart, and I think that's why my music is always just on the edge of alternative and on the edge of mainstream. And I think that's what it takes to make a groundbreaking album, is that very fine line. If you can just find it, if you can write it, then you've got something special.
You're coming from Japan and Eastern Asia, listening to this program now, this might be the first time they've heard you. But are you also sort of mindful of that there are other markets out there to explore?
Well, look, I've been wrestling with Australia for a while now, and I think I've been, sometimes it feels like I've been blackballed by those powerful figures above me that seem to still have the power of control over some aspects of the industry. And, regardless of that, I've always known that this is going to be a tough comeback. And, the media have worked hard on changing perceptions of people. But honestly, I feel like the most normal guy that I know. You know what I mean? I love my neighbour. I'm generous. I'm relaxed. I don't suffer from any addictions. I'm a pretty normal guy. So when I hear from fans from overseas, it really does take the pressure off. I remember that I'm on a really big planet, and I'm just, Australia is almost like the last trumpet note on the music scene, really, if you look at it on a worldwide scale. But being a westernized country, we kind of follow America a lot, and I don't know, maybe one day Australia's going to change its name to Little America. It's sometimes I wonder, where all the patriotic, feelings have gone for Australian music. But instead of thinking about it and trying to work it out, because I'm sure I'll never know the answer, I just stay inspired by strangers from overseas, and of course, new people, new listeners in Australia that kind of catch on to my sounds, and it really keeps my hopes alive.
Yeah. Well, that being said, there's a lot of good information in there, I've got to say, Elton. It's been great talking to you. We're going to go out the next few minutes with a new single, Girl. Now, how was this written? Where does this come about?
Look, it's the last album. The last song I wrote for the album, and it's funny how often I've heard about bands, artists, singers, songwriters trying to pick that first single off the official album, and it's amazing how many times I've heard that the last song they recorded was the first single, and that by no means that my Girl, this single, is my best song. It's just I really was looking for something that would connect to the hips of the audience, just get into the groove, and just kind of keep it a little bit shallow. I don't want to dive into the deep end right away, because the reservoir of my music is almost infinitely deep, and I just want to slowly make my way to people's hearts, and then speak to their minds. So this single is primarily created to speak to the hips, and I think that's why I chose it. It's something primal, something that you don't have to think about too much, and you kind of forget singing it, sort of thing. It's just all about just the groove. And obviously the topic is it's the everyday miracle. I mean, I've got songs that about politics and about all sorts of animal cruelty and all sorts of compassion and kind of empathetic kind of writing style. But this is a little bit personal, a little bit selfish almost. It's like that feeling when you meet someone and all of a sudden you wake up in the morning and everything is just amplified. You just wake up on a high, and that's love. That's the opposite sex or the same sex, or however you're sweating. But that's what Girl is. The Girl is a very gentle, shallow, smooth approach to the introduction to this album.
Well, it's a little bit deeper than what I was thinking, but it's a great song, I must say. Congratulations on all that. We've been talking to Elton Childs here on the Oz Indie Music Radio program, and Elton, if you search the internet, you'll find it on no doubt on iTunes and all the other good channels. And what about the website? What's the website, Elton? People can go to.
Say again?
What's the website that people can look you up on?
Oh yeah, it's eltonchilds.net.
That's pretty easy.
It's like pretty happy with the way it Dad, I'm like, yeah, this looks really cool. So check it out. You'll find some goodies in there. And there's a little video of me in the cave introducing the public to this notorious cave. And I just wanted to finally put that to bed. So it'll be a while before that spreads around. But yeah, there's a little footage there with me hanging in the cave, the so-called cave.
And you've got Facebook and all the rest of it too, Elchin, which is great. And you got 50,000 fans, I think, on Facebook or something. It's huge.
Yeah, Facebook is my main connection to my fans, and I've just only recently opened up Twitter and Instagram. I just basically was my manager saying, "Come on, man, you've got to get with the times. You need Twitter, you need Instagram," and I'm like, "Oh, why do I need 3 social medias?" But look, I did. I finally went with it, and then, so they're brand new. It's just a start there, but hopefully, Girl will reach out and find me some new fans.
Oh, well, on that note, we'll leave you, Elchin. We might just hang on the line, have a couple of words with you, but we'll hit it off with Girl off the new album. What's the new album going to be called? I should ask.
It's called Born Before the Sun.
Born Before the Sun.
Which is in my philosophical mind is the state of all of us. We were all born before the sun was, and that may not sound logical, but hopefully that will sound a little more clearer to people after they read my book, which will come out later in the year.
Wow. Okay, things are happening. All right. Well, we're going to have you back on, I think. I think we've already had a couple of calls. Very interesting. So I think we'll have to have you back to talk about the book and the whole album and the rest of it. But in the meantime, we're going to play Girl. And we'll catch.
I just want to say to you, Kelvin, you're a real fighter. You're almost pioneering the independent music movement, and mate, hats off to you.
Thanks very much, Elchin. It's guys like you that make it happen, though. You've been to the top on the commercial field with the labels and all that. Then that was with all the covers and that, and then you've gone out on your own with some fantastic originals, and we've been listening to a couple of them, and you're going to hear a lot more. And we'll go out with Girl.
Thank you for the support. Thanks for the support, guys.
And anybody out there, if you do see Elchin out there performing live, he is a tremendous live player. He actually can play guitar. Not like the put-together bands like One Direction, where only one of them can actually play a guitar and the rest mime, but that's all right,
I'm not sure if he's even playing guitar.
Oh, he's Irish. He can play something. All right. Well, thanks very much, Elchin. And look, it's great talking to you. We'll have you back hopefully in a few months, and we'll see how everything's going. But thanks so much for your time today. And here is Girl.